Hi everyone, welcome to Teed Up. This is a bit of a strange one, really, because the actual episodes for this there are two lost episodes. So I did one a couple of weeks ago now, and when I was allowing it to process, I came back and Zoom, which I was recording it on, had crashed and lost the video, and there was nothing recoverable. And then during the last Top Shot drop, me and Johnny started a video off. We talked about everything that was happening in the NBA, and during the middle of the pack ripping, the Top Shot went down into maintenance. I basically saw one pack opening on it. That was what was going to happen, and then basically the site crashed, and we were going to refilm it. And I found that because it had crashed in the middle of my pack ripping, my other packs were open, so I could see that and evaluate the market, what I had, which wasn't anything else of consequence. And for the sake of challenges, Johnny just opened his up, as you would do. So there are two lost episodes, so that's why there's been the delay, but it was just a case of not filming again, too busy, and really with the last Top Shot drop, the way it crashed, it just knocked everything out of sync. So really just a few things. There has been a Top Shot drop. I am going to go through that tonight. Before that happened though, since the last video, key things that are on people's mind is really, okay, we're heading into our All-Star weekend, but it's the trade deadline. And it's just to go through some really quick thoughts on who won, who lost in the key trades that have been going down. So the main one really was the big one, and it was seeing James Harden out of Brooklyn and Ben Simmons finally out of Philadelphia. So the trade would see Harden and Paul Millsap end up in Philly, and Brooklyn picking up Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and two future first-round picks, including this summer. And it's one of those trades where, first of all, it's really unusual because you rarely see two teams in this, like in the same division, such a thing, pull a trade off with each other, and this makes it rare. And it's one of those where both teams could win, both teams could lose. And what I mean by that is that with James Harden to start with, Philadelphia have obviously got a guy who's could be one of the most dynamic scorers in the game. He could go in there, he could quite easily average a triple-double, he could quite easily go in, shoot the lights out, and put up 30 points plus a game. That could easily happen. And to be honest, Joel Embiid needs that, because he is right now playing as, for my money, he's the MVP if the voting started and stopped right now. And he needs help. And Harden on his day, the James Harden who, carried Houston on his back, etc., goes in there, and all of a sudden you talk about Philadelphia's title contenders. Him and Embiid could be huge together. However, the problem with James Harden is, in my opinion, attitude. And what you see is with Harden, when we've seen, for example, numerous fallouts on the Rockets, by all accounts, there was problems with Dwight Howard, there was problems with Chris Paul, there was problems with, I believe, Russell Westbrook as well. And when Harden wanted to get out of Houston, he kind of just, for my money, threw the towel in, and he put on a lot of weight. He got himself to Brooklyn. Obviously, things haven't worked out as intended there, and there was a chance that the Nets were going to end up with nothing. So Harden kind of forced them into this trade, making noises that he wanted to go. He didn't look again in great condition. So, you do get that baggage with Harden. However, Philadelphia had their own baggage with Ben Simmons. The guy hasn't featured since the playoffs last year when the Hawks upset the Sixers, and Simmons was basically played out the series. He was a non-factor and at times a liability. The camp in Philadelphia is very much divided. Well, not divided. I think it's clear that the fans want to get rid of Simmons. Simmons has been talking about mental health issues, which you can't take lightly at all. But regardless, he had to go because he was not going to play for Brooklyn again. It could end up being a win-win. You've got two guys here. For example, I said what Harden could do with Ben Simmons. He's an elite defender. For my money, he should have been Defensive Player of the Year in the regular season last season. He can play positions 1 through 4, arguably 1 through 5, but I would say 1 through 4. I don't think he'll be playing the point guard because I think Kyrie Irving is going to play those away games. But he could certainly ball handle on the home games, but he could also slip in at the 3 spot, the 4 spot, alongside Kevin Durant. and bring this much needed or much talked about defensive side for the Nets. However, if I was being pushed, if there was a gun to my head right now and you said who's won this trade, I would have to lean. I would have to lean towards Brooklyn, and the reason is, if we look at it and just subtract and say, okay, the worst case happens for Harden and Simmons. The best case happens. I think Harden's the best player in the trade, but the worst case happens. You look at what came along with Ben Simmons. First of all, there's 2 picks. So straight away, the Nets have got 2 first rounders. What they'll be this year, you wouldn't expect it to be a really great pick, but in 2027, who knows what that's going to look like. But I think more importantly, Seth Curry came along. He's a replacement straight away for Joe Harris. And then Andre Drummond. And I think Andre Drummond here is the real X factor in this trade. The Nets, the knock has been that they've lacked size. They've lacked a true centre, somebody who's, can give them the size, the interior presence. Now, I'm not saying Drummond is an all-star. I'm not one of the people who bought that. But what Drummond is very, very good at is rebounding. And I fully expect Andre Drummond to go in there eventually to start at centre for the Nets. And I just really wouldn't be surprised if you saw Drummond putting up between 14 and 16 rebounds a night. And when you think about what that can mean offensively and defensively, I think that's huge. And the Nets right now are on a huge losing streak. It's something like 11 games. They needed to make a change, but when they get healthy, if they get Simmons playing, they can get Durant in there, they can get Irving, maybe he's playing more games. But the key, I think, for this could be Andre Drummond. I think that's a huge pick up for them as part of this trade. I think that's a huge win for the Nets. Other trades that are worth mentioning them, one that really nobody saw coming was the Dallas Mavericks picking up Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, and the Wizards getting Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick in this year's draft. It looks to me as though it's a player from either side to try and do something to appease their star, whether it be Luka Doncic or whether it be Bradley Beal. Porzingis, if Porzingis was healthy and you could rely on his health, Porzingis is, how can I put this? He's a unicorn. He's a game changer. He's a needle mover. But the problem is he's never healthy. It wasn't working in Dallas, and Luka needed some help. So this is obviously the Wizards have started to slump. There's been injury issues, etc. So they're rolling the dice on Porzingis. Dinwiddie came back from injury, had a pretty good start of the season. Then he's fallen off. Bertans hasn't really lived up to the contract that's been given to him. So it's both teams, I think, rolling the dice, hoping to find something a bit better, and trying to appease their superstars. What I would say is that Dinwiddie and Bertans' contracts individually are probably a little bit more movable than the Porzingis one. Other trades to talk about, I would say one that's a low-key one is the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm not going to go through it because it's a 4-team trade, but the Milwaukee Bucks is part of this. The Bucks, the Clippers, the Kings, and the Pistons were in. The Bucks got Serge Ibaka. The talk had been that the Bucks were in the market for somebody who was big, who could give them minutes off the bench whilst Brook Lopez is injured. And I think Ibaka is probably about the best you could have got for this. So if the Bucks are going to compete and make another run at the title, putting Ibaka and Portis in there, if Brook Lopez isn't going to come back, could potentially be huge. I think that's a really good pickup in the short term. I think the long-term winner of the trade is just a change of scenery for Marvin Bagley. I thought Orlando might have made a move for Bagley, but he's gone to Detroit. He fits the timeline of a rebuild there. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen there in Detroit with Marvin Bagley? So maybe the Pistons, who haven't really given up much in this, they get something out of it. Another trade which was interesting was again Washington Wizards, and they traded Montrezl Harrell, who came to them as part of the Westbrook Lakers deal, and within it they're getting Vernon Carey Jr., a second-round pick, and Ish Smith. Ish Smith has been low-key good for the Hornets this year, in my opinion. However, for the Hornets, this is huge. The Hornets needed somebody else to be able to play at centre, and really it would be kind of like a really good backup centre, but someone to give them minutes. And they've got Montrezl Harrell, who's one of the best sixth men in the league. He's Mr. Intensity. He's a defensive. He's an inside presence, and I think the amount of looks he's going to get inside from LaMelo Ball in particular, I think that's a really good pickup from the Hornets, and I think it just strengthens them. So I think that was a key one to mention. Um, Obviously, the Magic got Ball. And really, all we did is gave up a second round pick. Then we've got PJ Dozier as well, and a second round pick as well. So really, what we've done is we've cleared some cap space up for the Celtics, and we waived Dozier, and we're basically rolling the dice and seeing what Ball can give us when he gets healthy. Ball, if he was fit and healthy, would be something of a coup, but he might not even play a game. These injury worries and injury problems have been that good. Um, Another one which I think is seriously worth talking about, because it kind of blew Twitter up, was the Kings Pacers trade on February the 8th. And there was a real flame on the Sacramento Kings for this, where it was like another dumb trade from the Kings, so to speak. Basically, what they've done is they've given away Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson. And what they've received, so they've gone to the Pacers, and what they've received is Domantas Sabonis, Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb, and a 2023 second rounder. I get why the hate has happened, because I think Halliburton's got a huge upside, and it's already starting to show in Indiana. They've got a key piece for their rebuild, and it was the addition of Buddy Hield to that trade as well. So I get it. I do think the Pacers got the better deal, but I don't think it was a complete shellacking for the Kings. And the reason is this. Sabonis has a pretty good contract. You're getting a two-time All-Star, and it's filling a need. The Kings have really been lacking a good big for a long time. They tried to address it via the draft. It hasn't happened. It seems as though Sabonis is the first real good big that they've had there since the prime of Boogie Cousins. And yeah, they've just drafted they've crammed the backcourt, so it's gonna free up minutes for Davion Mitchell. De'Aaron Fox has obviously got the keys now, definitely no question about that, and it puts the bonus in there. And I think it does. I think it makes them better in terms of what they can put on the court at the same time. I think they do. They have given up more than they've received in the trade, but it might make them better. Another trade, and this is an interesting one as well. Portland's obviously blowing it up, and they've broken up the Dame Lillard CJ McCollum partnership. CJ McCollum has gone to the Pelicans, along with Larry Nance Jr. and Tony Snell, and the Blazers received Josh Hart, who was being floated around massively, has been at the center of trying to bring shooting in. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Thomas Satoransky, Didi Luatsa, and then you've basically got 2022 first rounder, which is protected, and a couple of second round picks in 2026 and 2027. So the winner of the trade is clearly the Pelicans for bringing in McCollum. But I think it's really exciting times for the Pelicans fans if they can get Zion back. Because if you look at the lineups of the players they've got now, they've got Valanciunas at center, they've got Zion, they've got Brandon Ingram. You look at also what's coming in, CJ McCollum's in the backcourt, and then they've got some other nice pieces. Devontae Graham's there, and basically, I think that it's a big one for the Pelicans that their starting five, for me, looks really good, and then you throw in Herb Jones as well, and things are starting to take shape. So I think the Pelicans, particularly if they get Zion back, could make a run at the play-in tournament. They had been finding a little bit of form before the trade pieces were moved around. And I think putting a shooter like McCollum on this team, they needed floor spacing, is a great move, and they won the trade. Speaking of winning trades, the Pacers, as we know, are blowing things up a little bit. I think it's a softer retool rather than a rebuild, but they got a first-round lottery protected pick from the Cavs. The Cavs aren't going to be in the lottery this year, along with a couple of second-rounders via Houston and Utah. And they gave up Karis LeVert and a second-round pick of their own, where it ended up in Cleveland. This is a huge win for the Cavs. The Cavs have been a surprise package. Basically, the Cavs are doing this year what I thought the Hawks would do this year. But when you look at it, Evan Mobley's he's got to be the favourite, barring injury, for Rookie of the Year. Jarrett Allen, for me, deserves to be on the All-Star team. Perhaps he'll still go there because Harden's not now, so perhaps he'll get that spot. Darius Garland possibly might get the most improved player this year. Lauri Markkanen, what a great pickup that is. And then you throw in LeVert. LeVert's going to give you 18 to 20 points a game if he's healthy. I think that's a real coup, and I think the Cavaliers are actually in a good position. They are making a run for me to try and get to at least the Eastern Conference Finals this year. You know, they're capitalising on it. They've been a real surprise. But, you know, great times if you're a Cleveland fan right now. Clippers, not so much. They again wanted their wing positions strengthening, and they brought in Norman Powell and Robert Covington. Robert Covington is the poster child when you see you're drafting someone who's 3-and-D. He hasn't had a great season or a great time recently, but they got Robert Covington. But Norman Powell was the real coup in this trade. And then Powell has fractured a bone in his foot, I believe. I was reading last night. So it's all doom and gloom for the Clippers. They seem to be getting that Orlando Magic style injury curse with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George also out. You would have expected Norman Powell to pick up some of the slack for them until at least one of them gets back, but not now. He's injured as well. The Blazers, second round pick comes in. Eric Bledsoe, just so his wins low. But the key, I think, there's Keon Johnson. I think that's one to keep an eye on. What does Keon Johnson do in Portland in a rebuild when he's going to get a little bit more time? And really, I just think another little move to keep an eye on was done on the 13th of January with the Knicks picking up Cam Reddish. Allegedly, Tom Thibodeau, according to reports, is not hugely enamoured with the Reddish trade, which saw Kevin Knox going back to Atlanta. I would really like to have picked up Cam Reddish as it goes, but he's gone to New York, but he's not getting the minutes. But I think they've done right. That could be a real coup for the New York Knicks. It just adds a dynamic young player. Reddish could be a scorer, so it's one to maybe see what happened there. So I'm going to try a screen share here, and basically I've been in the queue. I've picked up 4 of the standard packs on Top Shot. I did complete both of the challenges, and the packs hadn't arrived by the time I started this video, so I should also be waiting for a Jason Tatum and Julius Randle card to come. Hopefully I'll get good serials on them. But we're going to have a look at what I've pulled. I'll just say this, I do not expect in this to get any type really of anything in it. I've had a bit of luck recently on Top Shot. I don't think it can go forever. If I can get any type of rookie or rare or anything like that, I'm going to be quite happy. I would love to pick up a rookie card. As I've said, for me, I would like a Jalen Suggs, but I'll take any type of the rookie cards. So we're going to see basically what I can pick up from this pack drop. I had hoped Johnny was going to be on, but as I've mentioned, he is not with us because by the time we get through this, time zones, etc. He wasn't going to be able to make it tonight, and that would have meant a very late night for him. So we're not going to do that. So we're going to try a screen share now. Cross fingers, and we'll see what I pull in the packs. So there we are. I managed to get 4 packs. Drink for luck, and we'll go from here. So pack 1. Put a little bit of music on. No dance moves. Yeah. Common 3-pointer. Yeah, Chris Duarte then, rising star straight away. I'll take that. Don't want Duarte to ruin any of my challenges. Not a bad serial number. Yep, I'll take that. Very much. A little. Come on, Looney. Got this one. This dream, by the way, that the Magic were going to try and pull James Wiseman out of Golden State in some type of like huge deadline trade, which didn't happen. So it shows what I know on that one when your heart rules your head. The Golden State, Andre Iguodala, great player in his time. Remember him in his Sixers days. Powerhouse. That jersey, by the way. Colin Sexton. Saw a thread on Twitter earlier where they were saying about stacking Sexton moments when he comes back. Nice player. Orlando needs a point guard though. So we'll see what we'll put in the next pack. So I'm quite happy with the Chris Duarte pull there. What will come from this one? Try the bottom first. And the clock. I saw Memphis there. I was really hoping for a John Morant. I just don't have any John moments for whatever reason. What's nice. Grizzlies are just low key good this year. Really low key. Daniel Gafford. Nice. Austin Kuzma. Assist to Kevin Porter Jr. Thought he would have had a better season than he's had. Sean Kidd finishing there, yeah. Close to that. Yes. Wow, I didn't believe that at all. Oh man. It's rare. Odds were I wasn't pulling that. Any type of rare, 749 in production. Take that all day. Hey, can't knock that. Can't knock that. So, thank you so much. Let's see what comes out then. And we'll start here. Others, nice cereal, 420. Give me a coffee. Might have a bit of value in that serial number. Oh, look at that. It's coffee time. And then the amount of what can I do on coffee, by the way? Top Shot debut as well. Yeah, take that. Next. Bulls, DeMar DeRozan. You cost me a couple of challenges, DeMar. By the way, I did pick DeMar DeRozan up in my fantasy team, so I am going to take total credit for his form this season. Excellent piece for season. Correctly. Pacers, Dunk, Justin Holiday. Again, I'll take it. Player I don't have. Goes towards season 3. Bonus, no longer there. Love the jersey. Pass. Magic handles. Rising Stars, Franz Wagner. That's exactly what I wanted. Man, you haven't seen Wagner. Wagner's got to be in the top 3 rookies for me this season. He's just so efficient. It's like that's round goal there. France being France. Only France. Right, last pack. What can we pull? What can we pull? Grizzlies, Brandon Clark again. We've seen that one. Cleveland, Dunk, Colin Sexton, we've seen that one. It's a bit of juice here going on. Lakers, it's a Dunk. It's LeBron. LeBron. Yep, I'll take that. Very much. One more. This. Tyrese Maxey, that's fine. That's fine. You cost me a challenge the other week, mate. Yeah, I'll take that. So, I'm happy with that. I'm really happy with that. I wanted a couple of rookies. I know it wasn't like the rookie moments, but I wanted the rising stars. I will take that all day. And wow, pulling that Nurkic one, absolutely unreal. Throwing in LeBron on top of that. So that's it from me. thanks very much for watching. It's February the 14th here, so if you're one of these people who celebrates Valentine's Day, enjoy your Valentine's Day. If it's Galentine's Day for you, if it's Palentine's Day, not bothered, but have a great evening, and thanks for watching.